also become an effective way to treat trauma, especially post traumatic stress disorder, also known as PTSD. Hospital or residential treatment programs. Sometimes your mental health issues become so bad that you need to receive treatment in a hospital or a long term program. This can happen when you can't take care of yourself, or it happens when you are in danger of harming yourself or others. And by the way, in the nest, I believe I have, well, I guess it didn't pop up there, but it should have. Um, I did put the I wrote the suicide number down, which is 1-800-273-8255, which is the National uh, Suicide Hotline Prevention here in the United States. You can also dial 911 at any time. Not every treatment works or is necessary for everyone. Some people benefit from a combination of treatments. Your doctor will help you find the treatment that's right for you. Here's things to consider. In the past, there has been an unfair stigma that surrounds mental health and mental conditions. This stigma can prevent people from getting the help and support they need. If they are afraid of what people will think of them, so will so that they don't get the treatment. Their condition often gets worse. Sometimes people even have their own lives because stigma or mental illness keeps them from seeking help. However, in recent years, healthcare professionals, educators, and organizations have worked to overcome the stigma. Individuals and loved ones are more likely to speak up about mental health disorders. They are encouraged to get treatment. Look for signs that your loved ones may be experiencing, like feeling sad or depressed, trouble concentrating, extreme feelings, including fear, guilt, sadness, or anger, withdrawal from friends or activities, extreme mood changes, alcohol or drug abuse, unexplained hostility or violence, inability to cope with stress or your feelings, delusion, paranoia, or hallucinations such as hearing voices. Think about hurting yourself or others. Don't be afraid to ask for help. You have many treatment options available to you. Mental health is nothing to be embarrassed by or ashamed of. Being aware of mental health issues and learning the truth can help you and others. Now I'm going to get into how to look after your mental health, because that's very important. It is important to take care of yourself and get the most from life. I'm going to share 10 practical ways to look after your mental health. Making simple changes to how you live doesn't need to cost a fortune or take up loads of time. Anyone can follow this advice. So why not start today? Talk about your feelings. Talking about your feelings can help you stay in good mental health and deal with times when you feel troubled. Secondly, keep active. Regular exercise can boost your self esteem and can help you concentrate sleep, and feel better. Exercise keeps the brain and your other virtual organs healthy and is also significant benefit towards improving your mental health. Thirdly, eat well. Your brain needs a minimum of nutrients in order to stay healthy and function well. Just like the other organs in your body, a diet that is good for your physical health is also good for your mental health. Fourth, drink sensibly. We often drink alcohol or change our mood. Some people drink to deal with fear or loneliness, but the effect is only temporary. When when the drink wears off, you feel worse because of the way the alcohol has affected your brain and the rest of your body. Drinking is not a good way to manage your difficult feelings. As a matter of fact, it's a depressant. So if you're feeling depressed, what you don't need is alcohol. Fifth, keep in touch. There's nothing better than catching up with someone face to face, but that's not always possible. You can also give them a call, drop them a note, or chat with them online instead. Keep the lines of communication open. It's good for you. Sixth, ask for help. None of us none of us are superhuman. We all sometimes get tired or overwhelmed by how we feel or when things don't go as planned or to plan. If things are getting too much for you and you feel you can't cope, ask for help. Your family or friends may be able to offer particular help or a listening ear. Seven, take a break. A change of scene or a change of pace is good for your mental health. It could be 5 minute pause from cleaning your kitchen, a half-hour lunch break at work, or a weekend exploring somewhere new. A few minutes can be enough to de-stress you. Give yourself some me time. 8. Do something you're good at. What do you love doing? What activities can you lose yourself in? What did you love doing in the past? Enjoying yourself can help beat stress. Doing an activity you enjoy probably means you're good at it, and achieving something boosts your self esteem. Ninth, accept who you are. We're all different. It's much healthier to accept that you're unique than to wish you were somebody that you were more like someone else. Feeling good about yourself boosts your confidence to learn new skills, visit new places, and make new friends. Good self esteem helps you cope when life's difficult. And lastly, care for others. Friends are really important. We help each other whenever we can. So it's a two-way street, and supporting them uplifts me as well as everybody else. Caring for others is often an important part of keeping up relationships with people close to you. It can bring you closer together, which is what we want to do. And with that, I'm going to end the reading portion, and I'm going to open it up for discussion. I'm going to open it up first to my two co-hosts. It's always ladies before gentlemen. I'm going to go to Tanya first. Tanya, I would like it if it's okay with you, if you could explain again to the people that are here, why it's also important to get your hormones checked, whether you're a woman or a man. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what sex you are. You should get it, and explain how it helps with mental illness, please.
Hi, everybody. Happy Saturday. I'm not a doctor. Let me give you a disclaimer. I think that's my best thing to do. Not a doctor. I work with a bunch of doctors. I've been working in the regenerative anti-aging medicine niche since 2003. So I started out working for a compounding pharmacy, learning about hormones and because they're the one that makes it for them. And so I work with doctors, and then I went on to launch my own communication company, and that this is my specialty is working with age management doctors who are wanting to market to the different people, but they can't really market like most doctors offer isn't like that. So my job is to come in and to find out what they're doing, what's their unique, and really create their message on social media and offline and online, as I call it. So when it comes to mental health, it's such an important factor for all of us to talk about. But the most important thing is that we're all not created equal. Everyone has a different their chemistry. The biochemistry is different from each other. So what is good for me could be totally good for someone. Could be totally worse for someone else, or it could be incredible for someone else, right? So again, it varies from person to person. So you gotta make sure you get yourself a doctor. And when it comes to hormones, the hormones is what makes is your energy, makes your energy, makes sure it controls your mood because it's the thyroid makes your hormones. You have your adrenals that makes your hormones. So all those plays a big factor. So if you're feeling like a little depressed, a lot of psychiatrists, psychologists nowadays work with doctors, or they go and get educated themselves and get patients to get their hormones checked before they have a like the full system check. Like if you're a man or you're a woman, there's a male panel. And then there's a female panel, and female is different because we have so many estrogens. A lot of women don't even realize it either themselves. So it's one of those things that you should always talk to a doctor and get yourself tested. And also, doctors tend to test their patients to find out where their hormones are, because, like, if you have your estrogen is out of whack as a woman, you could be feeling overwhelmed, depressed, angry, mad, whatever you want to call it, and then people are telling you have mental illness, or because you're not feeling right. But then just, could be that you are needing your hormones rebalanced. And some people have to have that situation. And there's some people that had going through menopause, but then didn't really get themselves checked. And then that menopause, those symptoms become a mental health issue also. So, and again, I'm not a doctor, but I'm listening to you as far as the importance of your hormones are, and for you to get checked and talk to a healthcare practitioner about it. And then and then go from there, because if you sit there and not get to find out what's going on with your body, then and then just start taking pills because they say they're supposed to do better. That's like going in the dark. So it's like saying, you have a car that leaks oil. Do you continue driving around in that car and pouring oil in the car the whole time while you're driving, because you'll figure it'll go away? It doesn't work that way. Same thing with the human body. If you're having mental health issue or feeling anxious, with anxiety, and again, everybody's symptoms are different, and everyone is, like, again, I said, is made differently. So you have to definitely talk to your doctor and go from there. And then once they look at your levels, and then you can talk to you, and everybody's, how old you are make a difference too. So like I'm finishing my menopause. I'm in a different place when I was compared to 9 years ago when I was heading into menopause, and I was, having a little bit unbalanced on some days. Some days I wasn't too great, but now I made it through and I survived, and I'm still married. And so, like I said, it's important to like always talk to your doctor, and also what you're going through sometimes could be the course of what life is. So men get andropause, which is it's the same thing as menopause, but it's andropause. So it can happen. Women in their mid 40s starting getting premenopausal. So men can, I mean, again, they've said that they've seen men in their late 30s getting it. So even mid 30s. So again, you don't know. It just feeling not right. Talk to your doctor. And thank you for letting me share. Those are my thoughts about hormones and mental health.
Well, Tanya, I thank you so very much for not only co-hosting but bringing such valuable insights about hormones and what's it called again for the man?
Andropause.
Andropause. I never knew that. I always called it hormones. So you learn things every day. You think that you know everything until you get humbled by Tanya. But it's all in good fun.
Yeah, you're so funny.
It is. It is. I just didn't hear that word before. So before I bring Kim, and always, if you also have a comment or a question pertaining to what we had discussed and what I had shared from the uh, familydoctor.org, and I already gave you who wrote it and stuff. If you have questions on that, or if you want to give your own personal testimony, I can tell you right now, before I have Chris speak, I suffer from a mental disorder called major depression disorder, and I take medication for it. I take one pill, and I'm fine. That's all that I need. But other people have similar or maybe even the same thing, and they may have to have a little bit more. So like Tanya was saying, everybody's different. As I said before, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist. We're laymen, and we just share about mental illness from the professionals that we read about. Mine was from the internet, and I said who it was copyrighted by, etc. And it opens up a great conversation. So now, before I know that somebody Kim, before I have you come in, I need to go to Chris, my co-host, first to see what he wants to share, and then you'll be next. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, thanks, Tanya, for that. I wanted to share a little bit about the economic costs globally from mental health disorders. This is from the National Institute of Health. In 2010, they estimated the global direct and indirect economic costs of mental health disorders were estimated to be $2.5 trillion. And from a study alone in Europe, they estimated it at 798 billion euros. So that's why it's so important that we talk about mental health issues, because there's so much direct and indirect costs and other problems that they cause on societies all around the world. And I thank Michael for hosting this space about it.
Thank you, Chris. Kim, go ahead, please.
Yes, I don't have much. I just want to call your attention to something that I'm an advocate for, which is the crisis text line. It's in my bio. You text 741-741. You can text help or hello or anything like that, and you will speak to a trained counselor. You'll be in the queue to speak to them. We need more counselors. It's all voluntary. They'll train you free of charge, and all this time we spend on the internet, you can put a couple hours a week towards helping others, and you feel so good about it. But anyway, don't go, not going to preach, but keep this 741-741 text number for US and Canada under help in your phone directory. I'm telling you, you may not need it yourself, but you will run across somebody who may need it. And let me just say that, you think texting, what is that going to do to give me any help? You would not believe the younger people love to text. They don't want to talk anymore. They want to do it by text. So it's become very popular. England, the UK has taken it on. In fact, the Prince William has learned to be a counselor. So if you're in the UK, you may get him on the line if you were to text there. It's become a very big thing, and I'm just trying to advocate for it. Tell everybody about it. You will run across somebody in a mental health crisis, and these people can help from anything with the crying, upset about a grade, mad at your mom, a divorce, you and your husband had a fight, to self-harming, and suicide. They handle it all. So anyway, it's a great group. Just wanted to call your attention to it. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Kim. That's very much appreciated. And up in the nest, for those of you that may be new to the word nest, that means that in this space above all the avatars, I typed something out, and what it says is suicidal thoughts and behavior are common with some mental illnesses. If you think you may hurt yourself or attempt suicide, get help right away. In the United States of America, call 911 or your local emergency number immediately. In the US, call 1 800 273 TALK 8255. So again, that number is 1 800 273 8255. As far as the what Kim was saying is correct. If you recall, I think it was the last space I did. I also put up to where you could also text somebody here in the U.S. So you can also get that number here in the U.S. If you live in Canada, or actually if you live in South Africa, or wherever country you live in, you can always get the hotline number for the National Suicide Prevention, so long as your nation has one. If you call a government official or call a doctor looking for it, or your own primary care physician, they will get it for you and give it to you. Or you can call directory assistance, at least you can here in America, and ask for the National Hotline Prevention of Suicide. And they'll get the hint, and they will get you the correct number that you need. You can also screenshot it so that you always have the number with you. Mental illness, as you know, is a problem. The stigma is slowly going away. And the only reason why it's starting to go away is because of people like you who have the confidence to share with others that mental health and people with mental illnesses, as I've shared before, that I learned from the American Psychiatric Journal with that analogy, it's no different than if you had a heart disease or were diabetic. It's an illness and it has to be treated accordingly. Your brain is still very much part of your body. It literally controls everything. And so sometimes there may be some chemical secretions that aren't secreting enough chemicals to keep you stable in whatever emotion that you're experiencing. So you go and you get the help that you need from a doctor known as a psychologist or a psychiatrist. And there's several ways, which I've already gone in the very beginning. I'm not going to reiterate the entire thing. You can call your doctor and get the number. You need to be the one to say, hey, listen, if you overhear somebody talking and berating somebody that they know is mentally ill, say, listen, the brain is very important. It's got an injury to it. You can't see it. No different than a broken leg. You put a cast on it. But the brain you can't see, but you know it's part of the body, and you've been able to see the manifestation of what he or she does. And so you can see that there's a disruption there because he or she keeps disrupting the class. So perhaps there's a problem there. But don't belittle or berate somebody because they have a mental health issue. What if it was your son or daughter, mom or dad or brother or sister, cousin or friend? Would you like them speaking ill? People that don't understand things are usually the most critical. But once you give them the understanding and that you see that you cause a lot of hurt when you talk negative about somebody with an illness, I mean, how would you like it if somebody was making fun of you because you had pneumonia? It's the same thing. We have to pass the word along that there's like 1 in 5, if I remember correctly, I read it a long time ago on one of the spaces, have mental health issues. And there's a lot of people in America that don't even have a diagnosis yet because they don't see anything wrong with themselves, but others do. So it's a problem, but it's not just a problem. It's not a United States problem, by the way. It's a global problem. Believe me, it is. And with everything currently going on, as I shared before with COVID, a lot of people are depressed, even though they're able to go outside. The fact that we still have to wear a mask is very frustrating to a lot of people, I would guess. So you have to understand there are some people that just might be angry, but perhaps if you're able to talk, so long as they're not going to hurt you or themselves, so long maybe you can talk and say, listen, I want you to know that you're just as much part of the human race as I am, and I've been frustrated throughout this ordeal too. So talking and expressing your feelings, even if they're not a trained person, can do you wonders. But be careful of the advice that you give and what you listen to. Be careful. Go ahead, Kim.
Michael, what you're saying is so true. And it's become its own epidemic here in our country. Um, and the thing that's so bad right now, and the thing that we're seeing through the crisis text line, and our numbers are quadrupling, it is because our first responders, they're overworked, they're underpaid, um, they deal with death every day more so than just normal. Um, and it's scary. It's just very frightening to me. And thank you for doing this space, and thank you for bringing this to everybody's attention. You're amazing. I'm going to have to go eat dinner now, but I just wanted to thank you for allowing me to speak. And God bless you. And I hope you do another space like this because it is needed. People need to hear this stuff. And sometimes just coming in and just talking a minute is sorry, what?
I didn't say anything.
Okay, I heard something in my ear. Anyway, um, I just want to thank you for having me up, and God bless, and I hope everybody in here has a wonderful day, evening,
Yeah, just
wherever
follow
you
us
are.
because we'll be doing more in the future.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Um, we may be changing the topic because literally all month, every other day, we've been looking at mental health because it is recognized by the U.S. government that the month of October is Mental Health Awareness Month. And so, even though I'm not trained at all, none of my co hosts are, none of us are doctors or experts in anything. It's layman advice, so you can take it or leave it. But we do tell you to please seek out a professional if you do have a problem. They will help you most. Um, so, with that, I don't know if he's already left. Oh, that's too bad. I had somebody else that put his hand up. Is there anybody else in the room? If you have any questions or comments or thoughts, please request the microphone on the bottom left-hand side. Oh, and Kim, what I was saying was I thank you for coming, and I think she just turned into Hugo B. But I hope that you all come back, and I hope that you follow Tanya and Chris and everybody in the space. But like I said, my heart is to let people know that just because somebody may have a mental illness does not make him or her a bad person. As a matter of fact, they're pretty cool people. Somebody just tried to request the mic and it disappeared. If you want to try it again, feel free. I'll certainly let you up to speak. Sometimes, like I've dealt with people, like I go to coffee shops that most people know, and sometimes the way some people talk, and I'm literally sitting there going over the paperwork of what I'm going to share with everybody in the room, and it's like somebody comes in and they start talking to somebody else, and I just sit there trying to mind my own business, but they talk loud. It's like they said every single symptom that I just read. I didn't say anything. I just say, you know what? They're with somebody. I don't know if that person's a counselor. And I went outside and sat there and minded my own P's and Q's. And that's something that we all need to learn more of too. We're all guilty now and then. Just because somebody may say something, if they're not addressing it to you, especially if you don't even know them, sometimes it's probably a good practice to mind your own business, unless they're talking about harming somebody or themselves. And if you feel the need that it's important, that's one thing. But when you're talking to strangers who aren't talking to you, they could very much just say, hey, why aren't you tending your own business, brother, sister? You know what I mean? So be smart. Oh, hi, Michael. Michael and I follow each other. Michael and Always and Paul and Nick. If you guys have anything that you'd like to share or express, whether it's your own personal testimony or something on the lines of mental health, please request the mic and I'll let you up. Oh, Nick, I didn't even realize you were up. I'm sorry. Go ahead, my brother.
Oh, hi, Michael. It's good to see you again or hear you again. It's nice to put voices to people's profiles on audio, but yeah, mental health has certainly been difficult. It's been difficult for me, and it's been difficult for a lot of musicians that I've been helping over the last 12 years, especially with COVID. I've taken a lot of because I offer quite a lot of services like emotional support. I offer as well as online and other things that I do. So it's all pretty deep stuff. I had quite a few musicians through certainly the last 2 years of COVID. Some musicians have like lost. There was one band, I won't mention who they are, that I'm friends with, that they lost like £100,000 in a month just for not being able to go on tour. You've got other musicians that are, they've got cancelled gigs and it's their life's work. You know what I mean? Gigging and making a few bucks just to try and live. And it's been. I've had musicians crying to me down the phone, and it's exactly what you say, Michael. It's really difficult when you're not medically trained to we can't give professional advice, but I think what's important when it comes to mental health is that it's important to be able to talk to someone, and it's okay not to be okay, and always, just ask how people are, just by doing this, I mean, even though I'm quite a positive person, and all that sort of thing, I've even had my struggles over the last year, especially. I lost my best friend, who was only 32 years old. I've lost aunties, I've lost uncles, I've lost about 8 people that I care about. Even a musician that I was managing in America, and we become very good friends. And even though I'm kind of, I give a listening ear and give advice to other people, I've even had to deal with my own struggles. But the way I've got through it, I keep working harder, try and stay positive, keep my mind right. I listen to happy music. I don't listen to sad music. Do a bit of gardening, try and relax. And even coming in here tonight has helped me, just to speak to random people that I'm connected with on Facebook, and not Facebook, bloody Twitter. I've been on Facebook tonight because a band that I'm good friends with, they've got like over 50,000 like followers. They've just been hacked because there's been a big problem with security on Facebook over the last 24 hours. It's been really, really bad. So there's a lot of musicians stressing out and reaching out to me to try and get their accounts back. So, but yeah, it's mental health. There's all different sorts of mental health, right? I mean, it's like, some people might have a bad day, and but I think how I get through mine is, like, say for example, you get up in the morning and you're not feeling too good, or your mind's not right. You open your curtains, you open your blinds, and you look outside, and there's one little thing or one little moment, could be anything during the day when you're out and about, that just puts a little smile on your face. And what I say to the musicians, that small little moment, you hold on to that moment and make sure that little happy moment overpowers absolutely everything, and you plug away into the next day and just keep on going. And I find it's helped me quite a lot. I mean, I left home when I was 15 years old. I've been completely independent. I joined the British Army when I was sort of ex-military as well, so I joined the forces, and that helped me a lot. But obviously, I had a few head problems with that area. It's you see things and stuff, but it's but I find that helping people helps me to get through things. And sometimes we can use, like, our experiences that are maybe negative, turn them into positive, or even use them to help other people. I mean, like, you get recovering alcoholics that start up big groups that go global, to help other people, which is a good way to kind of self-heal, by being like maybe like an influencer in a particular area that you've experienced. And I think there's many different methods. I mean, even gardening, listening to music that you might not necessarily listen to, like maybe classical, that helped me. I'm not really a classical fan, but it's really relaxing. Certain different things relax you.
Yeah. No, continue. I was agreeing with you. But let me tell you this, Nick. I am sorry that you suffered so much loss in your life this year, with your friends. And I mean, grieving one person is one thing, but you had more than one that you had to go, whether it was COVID related or not. The fact that the person passed, uh, and it's more than one, that can cause a lot of grief. So you might want to, um, call a counselor if you're able to, if your insurance pays it. I don't really know what they do. I'm guessing you're in the UK, so I'm not really sure what they do. As far as the musicians, I mean, I feel awful that they lost so much pounds. I mean, that's just awful. Pounds, by the way, is an English term for money. Okay.
Mm.
Just for those who may not have known that. But, you know, I don't know if your government can help them with, like here in America, if they're indigent or they're struggling. We know middle class families because of the COVID. Some people have not taken in any income and they've gone through pretty much all their savings. But they have food stamps in this country, thankfully, that can help people out. You got to humble yourself and sign up for it. I don't know if they have that, Nick, in where you are, or something similar. I'm sure they have some sort of program to help the indigent. And
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead, Nick.
sorry. I mean, here in the UK, things are a lot different. And I mean this in the most respectful way. I really, really do hope that we don't go down the route of insurance and all that sort of thing. Here in the UK, we've got something called the NHS, which was set up many, many years ago. And it's completely free medical care for absolutely everyone, regardless of your income. And it comes out of our taxes. And, it's, we're truly lucky to have such a great system and so many different services from emergency operations to life-saving things, from treatments. Some people have to pay like for prescriptions, but mostly everything is free here, medical wise. Dentals, they can be free on the NHS or the medical care, depending on your age. So anyone under a particular, like under the age of 16, gets free medical care. If you're not working or still in education, you get free medical care, don't need insurance. And as you get older, it's free medical care. Obviously, dentals, you have to pay for depending on your income. But if you're earning under as far as going to the hospital, you don't need insurance. Some people take.
Want to keep the topic on mental health.
Yeah, well, this is where I was coming to. Sorry. So as far as mental health goes, when it comes to mental health, there is a lot of charities, a lot of foundations, and a lot of hospital advisory areas that offer mental health support. So there is plenty of support in the UK for those that are suffering. I think the difficult thing is with COVID, as far as hospitals are concerned, there is a lot of backlog of appointments and priorities. And obviously, there's strict restrictions for those with mental health. I mean, mental health can be caused by many different things, frustration. I mean, there's things like a lot of cancer patients and people that are seriously ill or not been able to go to the hospital because of COVID. There's elderly people, where their children are affected because they just can't get the help for their grandparents and the grandparents don't want help because it's mostly the older generation that fought during the war and stuff like that they're doing their best to help us and kind of not clog up our medical areas, and then that causes stress. A lot of jobs have been lost because of it, and a lot of lives have been lost. And I think what everybody in the whole world's going through, I don't think there's anybody in this room, in your space, Michael, that hasn't experienced like some kind of mental trauma. It's how we deal with it. I mean, this isn't normal circumstances, what we've been through. It's how we've got to learn to live with it and get by.
Well, I would agree with that. And, I've always said, in my opinion, that the pandemic has caused a lot of people, if not everybody, to certain degrees, a lot of frustration and a lot of anger and a lot of hurt and a lot of emotional distraught. And so one of the things that I shared in the beginning, I don't know when you joined this particular space tonight, but one of the things that I had shared in the space is that or maybe it wasn't this space, maybe it was a different one. We have to start to learn how to love each other all over again, how to show kindness to people all over again, mercy over judgment all over again. We need to be able to allow other people to talk. I don't mind sitting and being just a sounding board if it's going to help that person get it off of his or her chest. If I believe that there are things that the person or persons are telling me that may be detrimental, where in the sense that they may want to harm someone, like an employer, which you never have justification for, ever, 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 or they want to hurt themselves, then I'll ask them if they'd like some help. And then, if, depending upon the conversation, if they say that they're going to hurt somebody, I'll report that to the police. Which we have in America, we Americans have a legal obligation to do that if you believe that the person said it is serious and not joking around. But even if you thought they were joking around, you may want to call your local police department anyway. Let them make the decision and the determination if they, because they're the professionals, whether they think that they need to intervene, or at least intervene to the point where they bring the person in or persons in just to question them to make sure they're really not going to hurt anyone else. This way you cover yourself. You could have saved somebody's life by doing that, because what if the person was homicidal? So it's kind of like the police here. I worked for the law enforcement 10 years here in Florida as a volunteer doing park enforcement. But one thing I've learned about the police is they always say, you see something, say something. The problem is when people see something, they get intimidated and they don't say anything because they think the person might retaliate. So what we suggest, if that's how you are and you see somebody about to get into a fist fight or really getting out of control, go around the corner where they can't see you, make your 911 call, keep on walking, just say, listen, it's a dangerous situation. I'm not comfortable staying there. Here's what I remember for a description, but this is where they're at. Let the police deal with it. Okay. But you're smart enough to use your own discernment as to whether you need to do that or not. But going back to this, as far as the COVID, even though we go out, I think that a lot of people are putting up a mask. They're putting on a mask on their face. They're not being real. They're not letting everybody know that they've been hurting, that they've been struggling financially. And the problem with that is that if they only opened up, they'd realize they're not alone. There are millions and millions and millions of people globally going through this. You just heard Nick speak. Okay, he did a fabulous job. Great job, Nick, on your conversation. Okay, so the question is that you have to kind of probe yourself. Now, one of the things Nick mentioned was about can't quite remember. The thought just went from me, but I know that mental health. We covered how mental health occurs. It's usually in the family. It's hereditary at times, and so it can cause a lot of things. But
And it's also, sorry. Yeah,
Nick, did you want to say something? Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I went to press the button, put my hand up and I pressed the wrong one, sorry. Yeah, I was just going to say, I think it can also be caused by trauma. When I say trauma, like trauma. And I mean, I'll be honest with you, for the last 9 months, I have not watched any television unless it's Netflix, and that's or Amazon, and that's really rare. I haven't watched any news. And it's helped a lot because I think, I mean, if we take out of this world, as you said before, Michael, I completely agree with you. If there was more love in this world and less politics and less policies and less BS, this world would be a bloody a hell of a better place. You know, I'm afraid that, you know, the way I look at my life is that politics breaks communities, divides us, but music unites us, and that's why I've always stuck with music. You know, and always keep sharing the love and keep plugging away and loving what I do and loving the music. But it's just so sad how media.
Nick, I want to see if my co-host or anybody else from the audience wants to come up and speak. I have Q always and Michael in the audience, so if you want to come up, just request the mic. In the interim, Tanya, do you have anything you'd like to interject?
Oh no, I was just listening to Nick. Actually, I wanted to hear what his story was very relevant, and I don't know. I'm just happy Nick is here, and it, you know, when people who are depressed, you know, we don't want to let people know that we're you know, a fear of being found out that we can be weak at some time in our life is horrible for a lot of people. So they keep everything to themselves, and then they break down. And you know, that's where you got to share with your friends and talk about it.
Agreed. Chris, you have anything you'd like to interject?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Back to you, Nick.
Yeah, so sorry, man, and thanks for giving me somewhere to talk, because as I say, I don't normally talk about me. You know what I mean? It's like, and with my emotions and stuff, but it's yeah, it's been, my mental health isn't brilliant. I wouldn't say it's uh very bad compared to what a lot of people are going through. But yeah, I would say COVID and losing a lot of people in such a short space of time has affected me. But there's one thing my dad told me before he died of cancer 12 years ago, and he said, Nick, always remember, son, that no matter what happens to me and where I go, because he knew what he was talking about. There's always someone worse off than me, Nick, he said. And that sort of kept me strong, knowing that no matter what we go through every day, there's always somebody else that's in a worse position than us. I mean, we've had financial struggles, we've had difficulties, we've had people losing their lives. But I remember when I was 12, 13 years old, there was people in like third world countries that couldn't even have clean water to drink, couldn't eat, couldn't, you know, not even a roof over their heads, you know. And I I think out of all the negatives that's happened with COVID, and all the loss and everything else, I would like to think that a lot of good will come from it as well, where people will start seeing each other as people and human beings, and it'll make us reflect. I mean, people talk about privilege. I mean, aren't most of us privileged when we look at people that are like really worse off than us? You know, I'm not talking about in a house, or even people that are homeless. There's people that are in worse conditions than homeless people. You know, I mean, Ethiopia and places like that. I mean, we're all human beings, right? And you know, I think what my dad told me before he died, that you know, always remember, son, that there's always someone worse off than me, Nick. And that was when he was dying. So that was sad. But but what I didn't say is that not long after, my wife was diagnosed with cancer, and I got through that. And I got through that by launching music festivals and helping more musicians and doing my radio all the time and plugging away. And then my wife recovered, and now she's a nurse and saves lives, which is awesome. And I was adopted as well. I was abandoned when I was a kid, and I traced my biological family in Cyprus, and you know, it was very emotional. I've been through quite a lot in my life, you know, and even my biological father, he died a couple of years ago, and we had like 30, 40 years to catch up on. And I traced my family in Cyprus. It was amazing. I love them all. Between adopted mums and stepdads and biological mums and step
dads, and because they both divorced and married again as well. I've got like 4 mums and 4 dads to go through, so losing one dad's hard, but try losing 4 of them and 4 mums as well that you all get along with, so it's you just got to accept that your life is your life, and we can't do nothing about it. And I was speaking to a friend who's also in the music industry, and he was in a really low point, and he actually did say to me, Michael, that he thought about taking his own life. His cousin actually took his own life a couple of years ago. And I said to Jamie, I said to him, I shouldn't have said his name, but I won't say his surname. I said to my friend Jamie, I said, listen, mate, I said, you can always talk to me. I'm always here if you ever need someone to talk to. And I actually said to him, sometimes I need someone to talk to. I said, you're my friend. I said, we need to share these things. But you've got to remember that it's not your life to take. So if you ever think about it, I've always had the attitude that you did not give yourself life. So who are we to take it? Life's got to take its course. And when my time's up and when everybody's time's up, it'll be God's choice, not ours. So, and he actually said, thanks, Nick, I never thought of it like that. And you've also got to think about, what about the people you leave behind? How will they be affected? So, I think it's a very difficult thing. But we've got to learn to, no matter what we go through or what we're going through, I think it's always important to remember that there's someone worse off out there than us. And we've got to take it.
Nick, I have a question for you. I apologize for interrupting. After listening, and this is strictly as a layperson, not as a professional, it sounds like you suffered a lot of tragedy. And it sounds like there's a lot of hurt, which is understandable because of the amount of grief that you've had to go through this past year, especially being isolated and being in your home because of COVID, etc. My suggestion, and your testimony is right on the money. It's phenomenal. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for sharing it, because it ministered to me, and I think it will minister to everybody that has an open ear to hear the truth. Having said that, I would still suggest that you seek a social worker or somebody that's a professional counseling. It's great that you can go to your friends and talk, but if they're not a trained professional, there's only so much advice that we can give. But when you go to somebody that's into psychology, like a psychologist or a social worker or a counselor or a psychiatrist, etc., man, you can. Oh, it's called talk therapy or psychotherapy, which means talk therapy. I would suggest talking first to a professional. I'm sure there's nothing wrong with you. You sound like a very bright, intelligent person. I would never question that. You're extremely bright. You know what you're talking about. It seems that, so far you've dealt with the losses pretty well, especially with your friend with the cancer. And I would just strongly say, it takes usually a year, from what I understand in psychology. I've been told this by psychiatrists, just asking them questions. When a person goes through a divorce or they have to mourn somebody, it usually takes at least a year per person, or because of how your mind will think. And sometimes it thinks about everybody all at once, and it can be very overwhelming, even overwhelming from the person that's your friend that you're sharing it with. And it's great that he or she can be a sounding board for you, and perhaps they give you some great sound advice. But I would still suggest that for your own mental health well-being. It can't hurt to do a mental health checkup.
Well, honestly, Michael, you're amazing, and it's great advice. But I have tried it before, and I'll be honest, I'm not very good at speaking to people that I don't know. If if I'd no other option, I would definitely consider it. But as I say, I left home at 15. I've been independent since I was 15, and I've been through a lot. I won't go tell you everything,
I've been through a lot, and I've always come out the other side. And I've got my wife. She's my best friend as well. I've been with her 27 years. I met her when I was 16. And, I just kind of, for me, getting through life, to me, my life is music. And helping the music industry. And, I just done an amazing thing just last week. We've just, this little 3-year-old boy, we've just managed to raise £13,000 for this 3-year-old boy that's got cerebral palsy, and we're going to build an aqua spa pool. We've just raised the target now to 35,000. So we're going to build an aqua spa pool for other people with disabilities in this community. We launched a little festival for him, a celebrity football match thing, and it all went a success. And I think what's got me through it, the more that I've experienced or whatever, because I call it an experience. I try and move on and just help people more. I've been told I've got an ability to help others, so that's what I'm passionate about, helping people. But my biggest cost is my time.
Yeah, I think though, you were 15 and you were forced to do things on your own, and you had a rough life, is what it sounds like to me. And I also had a rough life, so if that's the same case with you, I think I can identify to some degree. And when you're out on your own because you're tossed out for whatever the reason, right, wrong, or indifferent, you develop over time this concept in your head: I don't need anybody. I've already been hurt. I've been thrown down. They've already kind of figuratively spit on me. They've kicked me while I was down. I still got my wounds to show it emotionally. I'm still scarred, but I can do this and I can come out better on the other end. And I'm married, et cetera, et cetera. That's all good. And I understand how it can be difficult to talk to a total stranger, but the stranger is a doctor that you're talking to. If you go and you get a doctor for your first time, a new doctor, you feel a little awkward. At least I do. I feel a little awkward in the beginning. But I know that in order for me to receive the proper treatment and help, I have to be brutally honest with the doctor. Okay. And the reason why I say you have to be brutally honest with the doctor is that's the only way I'm going to get help. Now, I think it's phenomenal that your wife is your best friend. I really do, and that's not a dig. I mean, you've been married many years, and you're raising a child. I'm sorry to hear about the cerebral palsy. I can't even talk today. But what you've done for that child is amazing. You and your wife. I mean, wow. Talk about
No, the sorry, the child. I've got a son, and he's at university doing well. He's 21, doing computer science. I've got a daughter who's 16, and she wants to become a doctor. This boy, up until last year, him and his family were a complete stranger to us. But because of what I do, someone reached out to me and asked me to help, so I did. And it was the same with that, that movie thing that I think I told you about that I was involved with. I'm still involved with, and that's a big highlight. So kind of leaving a little bit of a legacy behind for my family to be proud of. But I just think that what I do is it's not just a business. It's something, I care about what I do, and I care about people. And if I can,
that's good that you do that. I'm going to cut you off because Q has something that she would like to say. Go ahead, Q.
Thank you, Michael. I joined late, and I really feel now that I missed something really phenomenal. It's a great discussion that's ongoing. But I just had a quick something just like clicked with me when you were talking, Michael, and you said that the fact that when you have like grief and like traumas over a long period of time, you become like I don't need anybody or I don't need anything. I just wanted you to talk about that a little. Do you think that's necessarily something that you need help for, or is it like okay to be feeling that way, that I don't need other people?
Well, you don't want to be an isolationist. People that like the exception is obviously when the government, no matter what country you live in, orders a lockdown, you have to obey. I mean, I'm not talking about when you're ordered by an official to do something. All I'm saying is that what I think is that people have a lot of difficulty wanting to ask for help because they if they've gone through that kind of trauma, it forced him or her. I know I was at one time thrown out of my house and mourned because of my religious belief. So I understand what it's like to have your living family mourn you as though you're dead. Because I was raised Jewish, but I believe in Jesus, and so they mourned me. And then God got me back into the house that same year, and saved my mom, my brother, and my sister who are older than me. But that's another story for another time. But all I'm saying is that I mean, I think Nick is smart. I think he's, it's up to him with what he wants. If he's mentally healthy, then that's fine because we all go through depression at one time or another, but we can let it roll off the back. It's when it becomes persistent. That's when you may want to talk to a professional, when you can't shake those feelings, or if the feeling is going to push you so hard to do something illegal, like harm somebody else or yourself. That's not a good thing. You need to get help right away. I have no, plus he is married, so he's not really isolating. Okay. But if you live alone and you went through that, to me, just as an opinion, not as a doctor, because I'm not, just a layman, to me, sometimes you may need that season just to rest and take a break from people. That I can understand. But to live your life where you just don't want to talk to people, that's not normal. And any psychologist or psychiatrist will tell you that. And by the way, when a person goes to see a counselor or a therapist, if you don't like him or her the way, because of whatever, whether it's their personality, the way they spoke, whatever, you can ask for another therapist. But get the help that you need. Don't deprive yourself. Nobody's going to ridicule you. If they do, then they're being stupid and they're immature and don't understand mental illness, which gives you an opportunity to share in love and kindness what it is. And then you watch that person melt and they feel kind of sheepish afterwards. That's okay. But try to forgive that person. You got to be the bigger of the two people that are speaking. Why lower yourself? You know?
That's a good point, Michael. And I just wanted to share that I'm in a place where, like, after COVID, I worked from home and I was by myself. And now, I just don't even feel like interacting with like people anymore. It's more, and I of course have like, I have help. I have my therapist, but I feel like, the only people I want to interact is on Twitter Spaces. I don't know if that's weird or not, but I've gotten so used to this pandemic lifestyle. I don't know if it's normal anymore or if it's not. Maybe something to think about.
Well, I can identify with that to a point. I'm not you, you're not me, but we all went through COVID and it affects us differently. Some may be very similar, it might be almost the same, almost. So I'm glad that you're still seeing your therapist, and I'm hoping that you're outright honest with him or her and letting them know that because it's been so long, this is your new norm. And I think it's your new norm to a lot of people, but that doesn't make it right. People need to be able to start to go out, including yourself, in my opinion. You need to start to go out and start talking to people because that's what's really normal. You know what your culture is. Everybody that lives wherever, the people in England know they have a different culture than Americans. Americans have different culture than Canadians, but we have a lot in common too. We're normal people overall. We don't want to hurt anybody. But we also live in countries, including South Africa and Asia, all throughout the globe. There's always mental health issues, no matter what. No matter what your walk or race is, you're always going to have it. The question is, are you willing, and I don't mean you, Q, I'm just speaking this in general. Do you want the help that you so desperately need? Or is what you're doing now really working for you? And if it isn't, why not take the advice from somebody else that's trained? Because what you're doing isn't working for you. So why not try the other person's advice? You got nothing to lose. You're already on the ground anyway. Get up, dust those knees right off of the dirt, or the dirt right off your knees, I should say. Tanya or Chris, got something to say?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, we could probably wrap it up now.
Yeah, we got about 9 more minutes. It'll be about an hour and a half. I usually do a 30-minute thing. Um, So I'm just going to give some closing thoughts really quick. I love my two co-hosts. They're very faithful to me in the sense that they always show up unless something comes up. Tanya is a doll. She's the one doing the recording for me because I don't have the equipment. She's the one that does the analysis as far as how many were in the room, how many were streamed, etc. So she's a real peach, and I respect her. And she runs her own rooms, and she also co-hosts a lot of rooms, and she has her own business as well. So I just wanted to let everybody know that.
I host shows too, so be sure to follow all of us.
Chris, thank you for coming and being so loyal and faithful, because I see you in other spaces, like with our friend Ariel, co-hosting at times in other spaces as well. Tanya, like I said, does the same thing. I really appreciate everybody that came into the room. I know that this particular topic is not a popular topic around a lot of people because they're afraid of the issue, and that's part of the stigma. And like I said, I did a whole series from the beginning of the month till now. So I may be teaching next time, as I told Tanya. I was a pastor. Um, I guess with non-denominational, we'd be compared more to fundamentalists or Pentecostal, even though we're not Pentecostal, but we do believe in speaking in tongues. I think next week, or next week, I think the next time I run this space is Tanya and Chris. I want to, as I shared with Tanya, I don't think Chris was here yet. I want to talk about what exactly does it mean about being born again from John chapter 3, in the Gospel of John chapter 3, and also I believe it's in Numbers. How does it in the Old Testament? How does the Old Testament line up with the New prophetically to show that Christ is the Savior? So I want to try to bring that out next week. And I am.
Well, I'm a Catholic, so
Hang on, Chris.
I could co-host.
I absolutely. I am a um, still a minister, and like I said, my church is it's still official in Boston, and in that you have to turn in show your license and your certificates, and then they establish you and let you be a church so you can go under the nonprofit, et cetera, et cetera. I stepped down not because I sinned. I just retired. Okay. Wasn't when most pastors either they retire because of their age or because they sinned and they have to step down. I did not sin. I just stepped down. And I backslid for a while because if you heard some of my wording in other spaces, Tanya can attest to it. We won't go in there, though. Said some things that were pretty silly. Oh, and by the way, this is for Tanya and Chris and those that may know. As far as what I shared before about the place next to Starbucks, that's still very true with what I had shared with you, Tanya. But we won't go into that. So again, Tanya, if you can give us quickly the statistics. I wasn't really expecting anybody to come into the room. Nick, thank you very much for coming. Also, Q and Always and Miranda. We're about to end the space, but Tanya, please go ahead and share.
It looks like you have 72 total listeners. So it looks pretty
Awesome.
good.
Thanks for everybody for joining and coming up, every speaker. And is there any closing thoughts, Tanya?
No, I really enjoy this. Again, it's Saturday for me, so I'm preparing for a dinner party. So, but I'll be back, and I appreciate Michael for hosting this, and it's great chatting with you too, Chris and Nick. As always, you rock. And then don't forget, everyone, I have my Halloween party tomorrow. We call it preparatory spaces. So, okay. Let me pin that up real quick so you guys can see it. But yeah, it's tomorrow from 9 p.m. to whenever. So everyone is to dress up the avatar, dress up your profile picture.
Awesome.
Oh, I did. That's why I look like the way I look like.
Nice. Anyone else have any closing thoughts? Any speakers?
Okay. All right. We're going to, you guys, if you want to go up to the nest, and by the way, the reason why it's called nest is because the inventor of it, from my understanding, unless I misunderstood Joseline, it's Twitter, and Twitter is a bird. And so the engineer that designed it, half kiddingly, said it'll be up in the nest. Bird's nest. Twitter is a bird nest. That's why it's called that. But you may want to take a screenshot of it because open it up. Because it has in the U.S. it has the phone numbers if you're suicidal, who to call, and even if you're not, you can always take it because you might see somebody and be able to give them the number. So, all right, I believe what I'm going to do. What is today? Sunday. So Monday night. Actually, no, Tuesday, because I've got something else planned for Monday night. Tuesday night. Does Tuesday night work for you, Tanya? 6:30 p.m. on the Bonigan message. Tanya, you still there?
Sorry. Yeah, I have to get back with you. So what did you want to do on Tuesday? You're doing the church one?
Yeah, at 6:30 p.m.
I will have to get back with you because I'm not religious. I'm a Buju. I'm Buddhist and Jewish.
Well, that's okay. I mean, I was
We
raised
can still have you.
understand that, but it's a good topic.
But I can run the analytics for you.
Yeah, if you can co-host it, yeah, it'll be 6:30. I didn't know if you had anything on your agenda. I know Chris will be able to make it unless he tells me
Yeah,
otherwise.
Tuesday.
6:30 p.m.
All right, just schedule it.
Well, yeah, I'll schedule it. Don't worry about that. I'll take care of that. But you can schedule it on your calendar. 6:30 for this coming Tuesday, please. Everybody, I want to thank everybody for joining. Nick, I want to thank you. I know that your hand is up. I appreciate you coming into the room. But Tanya has a party to attend to, so I'm not going to keep her. You can bring it into the next room. Sorry that I'm not going to do the speaking right now because it's almost 8:00. Good night, everybody, and thank you all.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thanks for joining, everyone. See you next time.
Good night. Thanks a lot. Have a good one.